What up, y'all? This is Nate Wood.
Jesse Hafemeister with Just a Whisper.
Welcome to the Two World Records YouTube channel. We are going to have a conversation just about what we've been working on, what we have worked on, and we're going to talk about faith and all kinds of good stuff. So stay tuned and check it out.
And his name is Jesus. Only call I'll ever need, he frees us from this cold world. The enemy still trying to freeze us, but I'm inspired and coming with true fire to melt.
Start off with your artist name and then just share with us
Sure.
what your music background is.
Yeah. So I'm with Just a Whisper. And
With Just a Whisper.
yeah. And basically, just to sum up the style, it's more like electronic mixed with like ambient and classical and orchestral elements. And you know, there's also some like kind of video game-ish vibes. There's a lot of stuff that goes into my music.
Oh, yeah.
So it started with kind of like the hip-hop, pop-ish stuff.
Right. What was popular?
Yeah, so, but
What
then,
was being
like,
broadcasted?
right, so, but besides the pop and hip-hop, they actually would play other things that actually piqued my interest and started to change the trajectory of, like, what I just found interesting and fell in love with, I guess you could say, and that was like the grungy stuff, like Weezer.
Yeah.
And then there was like Green Day, of course.
Oh, Green Day.
They're, I guess in a way they're probably still big now, but
Fall Out Boy.
Fall Out Boy, because that stuff would come on Kiss FM, from my understanding too. Yeah, so there would be some of those, you know, mainstream hits that, like, when I was like a teenager, I would discover a lot of these like post-hardcore, pop punk, punk rock bands, and so a lot of those bands that have
Chemical Romance.
Yes, that's actually one of my biggest influences even today.
Yeah. Okay.
And so some other bands are like Motion City Soundtrack and Hawthorne Heights and Silverstein, Aiden.
Yep.
Gosh, Avenged
They
Sevenfold.
always had their videos on MTV.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I heard of all those bands and listened to those bands as well when I was in middle school and high school because I used to watch MTV.
Yeah. I eventually picked up the guitar at 16. That's kind of when I really started
That's
to
what I was just gonna
actually
ask you.
practice music. And I kind of would sing like before that, but it was really my friend, he showed me the intro to Beast and the Harlot by Avenged Sevenfold, and I was like, oh, if I can play this, it like encouraged me to actually continue with it, because I picked up the guitar previously like years ago, but I never took it seriously. I would get like those first stack guitars, and if you know what that is, it's a very just basic level guitar, like nothing, you know, so it wasn't that inspiring. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know, so that's kind of where that's what I grew up a lot with. And then of course Guitar Hero.
Woo! I was playing the guitar, I was singing, I was drumming.
Rock band.
Yeah, rock band for sure.
Yeah. And so over the years it just has evolved, which I think is really important for any musician, really. It's just to grow. And I never was content with really anything for a long period of time, and I still realize that even in making my own music, how I just need to keep making new things and keep trying new things. Because like you were like, oh, we hang out sometime, and I just was like, okay, you know. And when people say that, I don't always take that seriously, but you were serious about it. You really wanted to hang out and get to know me, and you wanted to connect. And so I think we hung out a few times, and then you came over once and you're like, hey, I got this song I'm working on, but I'm having trouble or something on my PC and my DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. It's the software you use to make music.
Right.
And you were like, this is just an idea, but what if we record it here? And that's kind of how it started.
Right.
And then we just worked on that song, and then we worked on, well, It's Always Good, and then we worked on the song with Josh, ATK. Wrong Way.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That was... So yeah, that's how I recalled it too. I think the reason I wanted to get to know you is because you were really passionate about what you were doing. Like you just wanted to talk about it, and you could just tell that like you had your mind made up. And that's what really like attracted me to you, because I'm like, man, like that's how I am too. Like I could just talk about this like all day. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to just like learn more about you. And I think after getting to know you a little bit is when I presented the idea to you, the Always Good idea. Because like I was having a hell of a time just like trying to record at my house, because that's normally where I would record. And I was like, well, maybe we can work together on this and start to build a relationship that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first song we did. We did Always Good, and then we brought ATK in, and we did Wrong Way. That was the next one we did, right?
I think we worked on Wrong Way first, but it took a while to get Josh over to finish it.
Okay.
Because he was the, what do you want to call it, the guest
Yeah,
rapper.
he was the feature artist.
Feature,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think you were like kind of, because we just had recorded it and I did a little bit of mixing, and you were kind of thinking of maybe taking it to somebody else that had more experience, and I was totally cool with it, but then I was like, you know what, just give me like a chance to actually do something else with it, because I think I have some new tools that I know how to use better.
Yeah.
And let me show you, you know, what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And I did, and you were like, hey, you know what, I think we could actually finish it here, you know, like whatever we're working on, and that's how last season came about.
Right. Yeah, the way I looked at it is just very like relational, you know, like I saw, instead of me focusing on like how I can, you know, put out this new album like I've done in the past, I felt like there was something that was happening between you and I that I wanted to journey with you on this project. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, how do you feel about this? And when we first started working, it was like, this sounds pretty good. Like you did a pretty good job with this. And then I was like, yeah, like you said, like, let me try it. And I'm like, yeah, try it. And it really turned out really, really well. And we've pretty much been working together ever since.
Yeah.
I'll never forget just like getting like the tracks back from last season and just being like, and then listening to them and be like, oh my goodness, like this is so good. Like, so yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of the background. Yeah. Like, what was like your biggest takeaway from working on the Shift project? What have you taken anything from that and applied it to like what you're doing? Or?
Right. Yeah, I mean, because of it, going back to what I said about it, basically making me nervous about, you know, working with you is just because it's like new to me and I didn't feel good enough. I still don't feel good enough. But of course, we all experience that, what they call an imposter syndrome.
Right, yeah.
But it's because of who you've worked with and the money that you've put into it. I'm like, well, this person is like really serious, and I'm like, I don't want to let you down, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a realistic, you know, concern.
Yeah.
But I think that you just were willing to give me a chance, and it gave me a chance also as well to grow, like in my production skills, you know. And so I have a lot of tools that make things actually very easy. Right. But there's still an element of gotta know what I'm doing to somewhat. Yeah. So based on the prior experience I had making my own stuff, it helped give me a little bit more confidence. But because mainly working on vocals, I'm like, oh man, I don't work on vocals much, so this really is going to stretch me. Yeah. And I think that's a growth in that, is stepping out and like being okay with working with someone and helping us achieve either the same vision, the same goal, because I want to serve you in the best way I can. Yeah. And so sometimes you just naturally can't do that. Yeah. But I think that for the most part, I've been able to like get you to, how do I say it? We're to the point where you're satisfied, you know? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Despite obviously my lack of experience, I would say still, you know, I mean, obviously I have a lot of growth, and I'm not, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm a professional, you know, so, but I'm growing, and so I'm willing to get better, and like I said, I grow in confidence after each project, you know? It was very, I just feel like it was very mutually beneficial for both of us, because I had reached a point where I couldn't just continue on the same path that I was on at the time. Like, I couldn't continue to just keep putting so much money and passion and effort into something that wasn't really like seeing a return. Yeah. And for me to be able to go from last season to Shift with this process, like, it was extremely beneficial. It's why I'm in the position that I'm in today. Mm-hmm. And to clarify for everybody listening, when you say return, you mean probably you're talking more about a financial investment, right? That's the hardest thing, because you're talking about physical money you're putting in. Right. And just like any job or any service, in order to keep doing something, you need to receive funds back to keep a business going. And so you're trying to really, truly go for this as a career. Right. Whereas like I feel like that's something I could do, but I don't know for sure if that's what's gonna come about. I'm just kind of taking it day by day, and we can obviously get into that. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for people so they maybe understand what you meant by.
Well, I think
I don't want to put words into your mouth. You can explain it better.
That's a good way to put it. I think you nailed it. Like, I've been very straightforward of this now being like a career, and that's always like what my vision was for when I started really taking rap seriously. But now, but owning that, and owning that, and that's where I've been at now. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think working with me on these projects kind of helped you own your calling as well, whether it's with Just a Whisper, or just realizing the different facets that you have, the different skill sets that you have, that you are capable of, providing a service for somebody, and that's the point we reached at the end of the Shift project, where it was like, okay, like I'm working on this, Nate, like this is where we need to start looking at the financials of what this looks like working together. And it's boom, and I think in a creative space like this, it's hard to get to that point. Yeah. Because you keep telling yourself like it's not my career, or I don't want to call you even said it, I don't want to call myself a professional. It's like, yeah, and I've been there before. Like, that's where I was. That's where I've been. You could say maybe the first like 5 to 6 years of my career is I didn't want to fully own that this was my career. I wanted to have something that was more socially acceptable to call my career, and then like maybe at times if the conversation would be in my favor, I could say, oh, this is. But at the end of the day, that's part of what it takes, I think, in this field, is you have to be able to own it.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I should say that I too have put thousands of dollars into my own,
your home studio.
The music equipment, the virtual instruments, all the, just, I mean, a lot of money, Now he's spent more money on like production stuff and music videos, but like regardless, whatever you put money into, you're investing into it. And so I mean, I'm right there with you, because I feel that pain of like, man, like I'm taking this seriously, but like where's it going, like what's going to come about it? God, what are you doing through this? And it's hard to stay positive, to basically carry out our own ministry. And Paul the apostle did the same thing. I mean, he was a tent maker, he didn't want to be a burden, but even he mentioned himself that like, hey, if you're teaching your gospel, you should make your living by the gospel too. So he understands that everybody's got to make a living, and I think everybody knows that deep down. And you just, you know what I mean? No matter how much you love something, you like, because if you do something just out of your free time, you're only going to be able to put so much time into it, right?
Exactly.
So when you're taking something serious as a career, it's a risk, right? Just like any business is a risk. But I'm just saying there's another level of difficulty when it comes to a musician trying to break into a music career. It's just a whole nother level of challenge that I don't think many people understand or appreciate. And so it's like 90 to 95% of like all music is all about this fantasy of a relationship that they want to have, or they think that they have. I love using the example of Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." The phrase, the three things he says: never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna hurt you. That's a fantasy. I don't care how you want to say it.
So true.
That's not realistic. That's how romance films and movies portray. There's this almost this I don't want to say a fetish. It's like this fantasization. That's, if we can make that a word.
Yeah. We'll count that as a word.
A fantasization of something that they want to be reality, and that's what's sad. But what they're actually looking for is in Christ alone.
Amen.
That's what people are looking for. They're looking for that love that only God can give. And that's
so good.
But yet they're looking for it in a person. Yeah. And I get it. We all try to do that.
That's so good.
We all try to do that. But
that is so good.
So that's why I get fed up with a lot of the typical stuff you hear on the radio, because I'm just like, I'm so tired of hearing about your fantasy. Can you just talk to me about your suicidal thoughts, your depression, and how you just don't care about anything or anyone anymore, how you're so tired of living in a society where you can't be yourself, you can't be real. Like, talk about that stuff. That's the stuff I want to hear about, the gritty stuff. You know, like, I admire that. Maybe not everybody's looking for that, but I want to hear the real stuff. There's a place for positivity to talk about that, and also the negative stuff. There's always a balance that we should have, just like we should give honor to God no matter where we are, but in our lives, you know, what we're going through. But I'm just so tired of that surface level stuff.
Well, here's the thing, like, this is why music is so powerful. Like, this is why I've connected to different artists, particularly in the recent NF, because you have like these emotions, and a lot of times in like the faith walk, if you have these emotions, there's almost like a shame to it. Like, you're not allowed to have these emotions. But the thing about it is, like, you know, the Word of God obviously is above all of emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's above all of that. We have somebody who can come in, he can fix those places if we are in those tough points of, you know, the grime, the dark, depression, negativity, whatever it is. Like, we have someone we know who it is we can hope in, but that doesn't mean that the process of coming into the presence is not real. And sometimes we find out, like, we're able to identify what that is through the music that we listen to, where that is identified, that emotion, that really dark, real feeling. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, I think it's just, I think that's important, and there's value in capturing that, and for somebody to be able to step up and show that, you know, to be vulnerable, or to I think that there's like a value to that. I think because I think it's something that we need. I mean, when you're listening to just a song, you know, like, what really is what you remember. What do you remember and recall about it? Why it connected with you so much? I mean, everybody can remember a song per se, like maybe how it made them feel, or it was a good beat. You know, it was catchy. You know, it got stuck in your head, but that's all you remember that for. But it's those other songs that you really connect with because it's personal. It's addressing some kind of issue that you can relate to. Exactly.
Or it's something that, I don't know. I think that's really what it is. It's just, you can relate to it, or you can see something from a different perspective. You're like, man, I didn't think about that before, and it gets you thinking. So, I really think that's what people really truly need, is a connection on a personal level through empathy. Like, just, like, they need to know that they're not alone, whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, you know it when you hear it. But I think sometimes, like, even me, like, I passively listen to some music and don't even focus on the message as much, because I'm so used to the meaningless stuff that's talked about. Like all the relationships in your fantasy, and your romanticizing and fantasizing about stuff that I'm just so sick of that. Like, I just want to hear about the real stuff, you know, because we're all going through something and hurting in some way, and we need hope, you know. And so as Christians, we have hope.
And I think sometimes being able to identify what that is, so that then you can go to God and be like, this is it, like, this is what I need help with. Boom, that's where God can come in.
Definitely.
And we need hope. And sometimes sharing those things is hope. There's hope when you're like, I connect with this. Oh my gosh, this is what I'm going through right now. That's hope, because sometimes you just don't think that there's any answer to what you're...
Exactly.
You can call it love when you know you're in that place. Vulnerable or reckless, not as a difficult space. Don't know who I'm talking to right now, that's okay. I just know the spirit in the music has a way of speaking, so potentially, maybe, someday my future wife will hear this and everything will convey. Here I am,